red hot, like surface of the sun take that we've got now, and it is from none other than beloved children's author and woman who just won't shut the fuck up, J.K. Rowling. So, for those of you who want a bit of context, I mean, I needed context when I saw it. The South Wales police were responding to people calling their sort of demonstrations of allyship, of alliance with the LGBT community by putting like rainbow colours on their police cars, and you know, like a stall with like the symbol of the police force and like rainbow colours and stuff. People were calling it virtue signalling, and they responded saying, "Good evening. Supporting our communities is not virtual signalling." I think they meant to write virtue signalling, and we make no apologies for doing so. Of course, this comes off on the back of a homophobic murder happening quite recently in that area. So the police were kind of showing their support, saying that we are taking hate crime seriously. We are absolutely on the side of the LGBT community. But Joanne just had to pipe up, didn't she? Didn't she just? And she said, virtual signalling, like virtue signalling, but for people who aren't really arsed. Hashtag virtual signalling. So, beloved children's author and woman who just won't shut the fuck up, J.K. Rowling, is saying here that maybe she doesn't like when the police force shows support for the LGBT community. And that's quite interesting. I don't really know why she would do that, because she's always had great representation for the LGBT community in her works of fiction, such as how not a single character in Harry Potter was gay. Was a single character? I don't think there was. Dumbledore was, but she only said that after, because we can't actually have him be obviously gay in the books, because that would be bad for the children. But yeah, so J.K. Rowling, it seems to be saying that it is virtue signalling, or it's like an even worse form of virtue signalling. She's making fun of the fact that they've like auto-corrected by accident, or like spelt it wrong, or said virtual signalling deliberately when they didn't mean it, or whatever. She's making fun of that kind of like grammatical or like spelling error, how they've used the terminology slightly wrong, and kind of created their own terminology. She's using that to kind of take the piss out of them when they're showing support for the LGBT community in an area where there's recently been a hate crime that caused the death of someone, where there's been a homophobic murder. And she's making fun of the police force for showing support for the LGBT community. And I know it's not a lot, and I know it kind of is, you know, a bit sort of surface level and superfluous for the police to be like, rainbow flags, you know, we like the gays. But it is a very comforting thing for members of the LGBT community to see the police demonstrating they are on their side, they're taking this seriously. You know, and maybe some people think that it's a bit cringy, but there's bound to be some people who take at least a little bit of solace in that. And the police are just trying to show that they take the issue seriously, and they are absolutely not going to let this lie when it comes to hate crimes against LGBT people. But Joanne just thinks it's fucking hilarious that they didn't say virtue signaling, they said virtual signaling when they were virtue signaling. She thought that was fucking brilliant. You know, this is, I mean, but you know, this is the author who really understands society, you know. Like, I really loved how in the Harry Potter books, the only good piece of literature she's ever produced, don't read The Casual Vacancy or anything by a pseudonym Robert Galbraith. It will make you want to rip the skin off your face. But in the Harry Potter books, I really love how the financial system is controlled by a bunch of greedy, hook-nosed, creepy people who can't be trusted, the goblins. And I also love how there is a race of slaves who like being slaves called the house elves, and the only major character who really sort of seems to give a shit about that and understand the injustice for what it is. Hermione is constantly mocked for it. I also like how the Weasleys are constantly made fun of for being impoverished, and Ron struggles with it. But Harry, who has immeasurable wealth, decides not to help him and rather thinks it's rather funny. I like how the main Asian character, the only Asian character pretty much, is called Cho Chang, and how the only Irish character is called Seamus Finnegan, and the whole thing about him is he constantly blows things up in his own face by accident. Isn't that brilliant? So, look, JK, I think, needs to, like I said, shut the fuck up. I'm sure she'd say that the reason I'm saying that is because I'm scared by powerful women. But, you know, quite frankly, I'm scared by powerful women who gained their power by writing mediocre fiction and now use it to shit on some of the most marginalized groups in society. Those people do scare me a little bit because they're clearly fucking psychopaths. So, Joanne, we all know the truth. You're just jealous of Rick Riordan because you wish you could have written the Percy Jackson books.